I'm so glad I get this opportunity to talk to you this week. We've had a very crazy week, haven't we? I imagine you have all dealt with being home from school in different ways. And one way the Griffins have dealt with it is we've talked a lot about food. So I brought a picture of Alden. The other day, we decided we were going to all cook together. And Alden made himself his own veggie sandwich with some fruit. And he even made some tomato soup that he's got right there. And that's not tomato soup from a can. He actually made it from scratch. I was very proud of Alden for doing that. So it got me thinking, what's your favorite food? My favorite food is spaghetti. And spaghetti comes to us from the continent of Europe, in the country of Italy. And it's one of my favorite foods, and I love a good spaghetti and meatballs. Another one of my favorite foods, I actually just made a big pot of this, and it comes to us from the continent of Europe again, but this time the country of Ireland. It's Irish stew. And Irish stew is filled with beef and potatoes and carrots. It's a wonderful way to warm up on a cold night. Maybe your favorite food are tacos or enchiladas or chimichangas or beans and rice. And I brought a picture of some Mexican food from the country of Mexico. And last but not least, I brought a rolled dish, a rolled food called sushi. And that comes to us from the continent of Asia and for the country of Japan. And many people love sushi. There's all kinds of foods from all over the world, and there's so many people in our world and so many different types of food. But I heard something this week that kind of upset me a little bit. I learned from the World Food Program that 66 million kids all across the world go to sleep hungry. While most of these kids are from Africa, they estimate over 16 million kids in the United States are what's called food insecure households, which means sometimes they don't know where their next meal is coming from. Now, I was a teacher not only in Philadelphia, but in McKeesport, and I saw this firsthand how many kids go to sleep at night or go home on a weekend and don't have food. And when our needs aren't being met, sometimes life can feel a little scary. And that's never been more true than this week. Sometimes, a lot of us this week have felt as though our needs weren't met. Maybe we felt like we needed to go to school, or we needed to go to work, or we needed to get out and we needed to go see our friends. And when we feel that way, sometimes we can get upset. We might even feel scared. Now, the Bible tells us a story about a time when Jesus and his disciples were dealing with this same type of thing, hungry people. The Bible tells us God will provide. In Mark, we're told a story about a time when Jesus feeds the 5,000. Now, Jesus and his disciples were incredibly tired. They had been teaching and walking, and they arrived at a new place, and a group of people had followed them. Now, everybody there was hungry, and they weren't really sure how they were going to feed them. But Jesus, even though he was tired, even though he wasn't sure how he was going to feed them, he felt compassion or love for those people. I want to read a section to you out of the Bible where it talks about that. As he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. So even though he was hungry, even though he was tired, he put those other people's needs first. The disciples were sent out to find food, and what they came back with was 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish to feed all the 5,000 people. And his disciples thought to themselves, this is impossible. How are we going to do this? And instead of getting frustrated, instead of getting sad, the Bible tells us that Jesus took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. He looked up to heaven and gave thanks and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples to set before the people. And he divided the 2 fish among them all, and they all ate, and they were all filled. See, the Bible reminds us that when we're in times like this, when we're feeling scared or we're feeling like our needs aren't met, we need to have compassion for others, and we need to give thanks to God for the things we have. So this week, when you're at home and maybe sometimes you feel as though your needs aren't feeling met, hug your parents. Play with your brother. Play with your sister. Help your parents to clean or cook the house. Pick up the phone. Call your grandma, your grandpa. Spend time showing those around you compassion and give thanks to God for the people who are in your life. and that's good news. So please pray with me and let's give thanks to God for all of this. Dear God, thank you for sending us Jesus, who shows us compassion in this world. Be with us this week as we show compassion and thanks to all those around us. In your name we pray. Amen. Thanks for coming this week, guys, and I hope to see